Welcome back to the Grenadier podcast. Today I speak with Anthony Corcoran from Your Legal. He talks to us about the importance of conveyancing and a property transaction. You obviously love this business. Tell me what you love the most about it. Today, an absolute exclusive. Welcome back to the Grenadier podcast, Real Estate Uncovered. Well, Anthony, lovely to have you here on the Grenadier podcast. Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Lisa. Yeah, I'm a third-generation lawyer, and I've got a practice out in Bishopdale, and we operate under the name of Your Legal.
So, Anthony, I know you're a conveyancing solicitor, but you've had a little bit of a background in sales, which I think brings something unique to your company. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, after the earthquakes, I took some time out and went and worked for one of the project management offices where I was the in-house lawyer as well as doing some earthquake-related work. And then after that finished, a friend of mine rang me up and said, come to our company. We're looking for some salespeople in finance. So for 18 months before that business was actually sold to an overseas company, I was actually in sales, cold calling, knocking on doors, which if I didn't do, I didn't eat and didn't feed the family. And throughout that period, I learned two things. One is it's the hardest job in the world is sales. And two, it's really frustrating when you have actually engaged with someone and then I think they call it ghosting now, when you try to ring back for that second meeting.
Yes.
and they don't answer your call. And anyway, when the business was sold, I thought, right, well, I'll go back into law, but I'm going to take these learnings of knocking on doors to generate business and I want to apply that to my practice. And the way in which I did that was to start knocking on doors of real estate agents, recognising the frustrations that they can experience in doing a property transaction and saying, well, we're here, we've got a different view of our role in that transaction. We're here, as part of the process to make your deal happen, and we'll do our level best to assist you along those lines. Our client is still our client and they are the centre of the transactions, but where we can make things easier and facilitate things to get it done, that's the way I wanted my firm to operate. From having that experience of trying to pull a deal together where people aren't always on the same page, that's what I brought back in to my practice, was to try and make sure that we were just part of a process of getting to an end goal.
I love that. I love that you've brought that sales side of it to your business so that you can see that the salesperson is invested in the client getting the great outcome, and that when problem solving needs to be done, you will work with it rather than just crashing the deal. You'll go through that problem solving.
Yeah, 100%. Because not all problems, end in a deal falling over.
No.
We might simply be talking about something that's come up in the building report. Well, often the easiest way to address that is, instead of exchanging screeds of emails with the lawyers on the other side, you can talk to the agent and say, 1, 2, 3, if we can get these sorted out, if you can back channel that to your vendor, we'll do it through the normal channels as well. But we think that, by doing that, that will keep our client happy. There's a bunch of other things in there that we're not going to worry about. It's just a different way of getting to the same result.
What are the pitfalls for both buyers and sellers that you would give them advice on?
Well, I think the first thing is that you need to engage early with professionals if you want to avoid those pitfalls. I frequently get asked, or get told, should I say, this is our first time, we don't know what we're doing. To which I respond, that's what we're here for. And so if they're just entering into the market, we just say to them, this is what you want to be doing. These are the conditions that you would want to be including into your agreement. Find out about their KiwiSaver, and so that they can get a letter of eligibility from their KiwiSaver provider, so that they know what kind of money they've got in their fund. Are they got their finance organised? Have they thought about who their building inspector might be? That's on the buying side of it. And on the selling side of it, we talk to them about, are you on a fixed mortgage, for example? Because if you sell now, are you going to get pinged with a early repayment penalty? Have you got any work that you needed doing that you should have got a consent for that maybe you didn't get the consent for, so that we can cover that off in the agreement before you go to market? So there's a myriad of different issues. But my advice would always be, we often don't necessarily know someone's buying or selling until the agreement lands on our desk. But if you want to make the process a lot smoother, a lot less stressful, engage early and just take that advice, because we're there to help and we want to make it easy all round for everyone involved in the transaction.
I love that, because as sales consultants, we say the same things, to sellers and buyers. Who's your lawyer? Who are you working with? Please go and let them know you're either about to buy or about to sell, and find out, some good advice. And so it really does become a team collaboration, right?
The way I see it is that we've got a client and they are the centre of the transaction. Now, we are not the centre of the transaction as a lawyer, but a lot of the roads lead to us in terms of facilitating other providers. But realistically, it's a circle. We're the sort of, I suppose, the tyre, and the client is the hub. And the best way to get the deal done is to have everyone working together. So that means lawyers working with the agent, with the mortgage advisor, with the building inspector, letting everyone know what part they fulfill on it. And sure, we might be the conduit of communication.
Absolutely. And it's such a paradigm shift, I think, from when I first started in real estate, 20 plus years ago. The solicitors it was quite scary approaching solicitors as a sales consultant. They seem to be the gatekeeper of all. And I love that, you run a firm where you very much see us all as part of that process. Over time, marketing has changed and auctions have become a very big part of our marketplace. How do you as a solicitor cope with auction properties?
Well, we love doing auction advice.
Yes.
Many, many years ago, I started thinking about the way we gave advice around auctions. And over the past few years, I've developed a number of software applications that are bespoke to my firm. And it means that when people need auction advice, we can deliver what I believe is the most comprehensive advice going around in Christchurch in terms of value for money and speed of turnaround. So my application enables me at very short notice. I would, of course, prefer that I get plenty of notice, but we're able to give very good advice around going to auction. And, of course, our tagline in our business is making your next property transaction as safe as houses. And that's what we want people going into an auction to be able to do. They want to be able to bid with confidence. They want to know that they've had the title check. They want to know that the agreement doesn't have any little fish hooks in there. They want to know that the land information memorandum includes the information that we'd want to know about consents to the house, the sort of area that they're in. Is there anything going on in the area that might actually be, I don't think I do want to be in that particular area. We also give a bit of guidance around EQC, critical issue these days in Canterbury, and guidance around building report. And then we just sort of tell them about the process itself and how you need to have your finance lined up, and in Christchurch, how you need to have your insurance lined up. And we can do all of that in a reasonably rapid period of time, and it's done in a manner, in plain English, that you can just sit down and read and know right from the get-go, is this for me?
Fantastic. So for buyers looking at buying at auction, they would literally send you a copy of the auction pack. You'd peruse that, use your software, give them advice. What's the turnaround and the cost?
Well, turnaround can be anything from somebody who says that they want to go to auction in a week.
Yes.
Last Thursday, I got a call on a Thursday night at 5:01 for somebody who wanted to be at auction at 11 o'clock the next morning.
Right.
But fortunately, I did say to them, it's going to go right to the wire here, but they had their written report by 10:10 the next morning. And the cost of that report is $295,
wow.
Including GST. Now, there are obviously terms and conditions, as you'd expect, but
That's exceptional.
One of the big objections, I suppose, about going to auction is the fact that you do, if you want to be safe, when you buy your property, you do need to engage with people like myself to get that advice.
In your experience, what would be some misconceptions about lawyers or conveyancers and the system that you run?
There's no such thing as an easy transaction, because every single property is different. Every one of them has its own vagaries, right?
Absolutely.
And And so there's that part of it that is sort of somewhat of a misconception around the buying and selling process. But also, I think people also perhaps underestimate the actual effort that they need to put themselves into to buy the property. They do have a part to play. They're also, as well as a client, they've got a role to play as well.
Yes.
Let the boss know that you are in fact in the process of buying it, and you might have to nick off and do your KiwiSaver in the middle of the day, or if loan documents turn up only the day before the settlement, you're going to have to shoot away and get those signed up. So get educated by engaging early, and speak to a practitioner who's going to give you a bit of an overview of what to expect and the part that you play in that process.
Absolutely. And I think what you're saying is you kind of become the project manager of everything. Don't leave it all up to experts. You've got to make sure you join all the dots together, right? You're a very critical role in it.
100%. Throughout the process, we've got another app under development, which is in the testing phase now, which I affectionately refer to as Property Tracker, which is a bit like Career Tracker.
Yes.
And it's an application that clients and agents and the other people involved can check. It's like a vertical platform, and it's the steps through the transaction.
Wonderful. So they can see where they're at.
They can see where they're at, and
Yep.
it automatically sends out texts or emails to the parties involved, so everyone can be kept up to speed. For example, we've confirmed the finance clause.
Beautiful.
Everyone knows.
Yeah.
What everyone really wants to know is on the settlement day, we're ready to settle, and it goes out, yes, we have settled, hooray. So everyone gets told at the same time. So that's a fairly unique innovation that we've implemented as well to make it
Absolutely.
easier for the clients as they go through this process. And that works whether it's been buying or selling.
I love that. That's fantastic, because communication's such a huge part, isn't it? And everyone knowing they're on the same page.
Oh, 100%, and I always say to clients, you don't know what you don't know, and you've got to remind us now and again that what we do every day, and it's second nature to us.
Anthony, is there some memorable moments or some really cool things that you feel proud of that you've done in your practice?
We are on, I suppose, we're endeavouring to do things differently in the market. We're trying to change the way in which what is really, I suppose, a professional service to be delivered in a much more informal yet thoroughly professional manner. So what we're doing within the practice around all of our IT applications, I think, is brilliant. And when people often use the term boutique, I believe that that's what we are doing. We are actually trying to do things that are client-centric.
Yes.
That's the first thing. The biggest kick that you get out of the whole practice of property law is the settlement day, when people get their keys and you get that email going, we are so grateful. We are really happy. You made it so much easier than we thought it was going to be. And that is brilliant. Now and again, we are certainly not sales prevention officers in my firm. Our goal is always to try and get the deal done. But there's certain deals that just don't work. It might be that we discover something's actually through, and invariably this is where you do discover it, is through the building report process. There's something not right about it. Or you haven't got the documentation that would be, make you satisfied that all the EQC work's been done. When you're providing advice and saying to people with caution that, I think you need to go back, take a second opinion and that sort of thing, from that point of view, if it doesn't go ahead, it's always a bit of a letdown. It's a letdown for the client, but that they ultimately get there, because
Yes.
I've done it so many times where people have had, and it's the same with going to auction. They might have a go at 3 auctions before they finally get their forever home. They might also go through a couple of deadline sales or, private treaty ones where, damn it, the building reports come back, floors are all on the up the kibosh, and vendor doesn't want to fix it, on to the next one.
Yeah.
So part of what we're there, we are the line of protection
Yes.
for the client. We might not necessarily have done that particular aspect of the work, but it flows on that these are the sorts of things, like in a building report, for example, where that floors that are out or there's high moisture levels, you're not going to get insurance over the site, or you very much need to disclose it to the insurer and have them tell you that it's okay. That's the value of having experienced and competent advice.
Absolutely. Anthony, it's been an absolute delight to hear about your firm, how you're innovating for both buyers and sellers. I love that auction report. I think that's just a great initiative, and I wish you all the very best, you and your team, for the future.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Real Estate Uncovered. I hope you really enjoyed the show. If you did, please give us 5 stars and leave a review. This really helps others find our podcast.